Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September 15th, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully, you're having an amazing day yourself. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to you. Looks like we made it to the weekend, baby. Let's see. I have no food corner to report. Nothing going on. We're just hanging out, just enjoying our life, enjoying our day. So let's see here. I don't want to keep you too long. I don't want to preamble too long here. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to do my classic little startup and we'll talk about some news. Actually excited. I mean, I'm generally excited when I, press play to get started. But some stories definitely just get me riled up in a good positive way. And I'm like, let's do this. So I'm very excited to talk about a couple of these, at least one in particular. Yes, and then another story that's an L. Definitely sad about for sure. But let's get started. Ooh yeah. All right. Our first story is from Reuters. UAW automakers to resume talks as strike starts to create part shortage. So here we go. We're doing strike talk, baby. And I gotta say, this one, it just feels dynamic. There's something about this one. The not that the other ones were less important or any more or less dynamic. Actually, some shit I might want to hit on about the SAG after shit after I get done with this, but that's a little bit of an aside. The United Auto Workers said it plans to resume bargaining on Saturday after the union launched simultaneous strikes at three factories owned by General Motors, Ford Motor, and Chrysler parent Stellantis on Friday. So essentially, their deal, the contract ended as of Thursday of like midnight, or really for Thursday, Friday morning essentially, and Sean Fain, I think I'm getting his name wrong already, but he. I gotta say, I really like this dude's style, but let me read a little bit more. The walkouts at the Detroit Three, or the Big Three, as you'll probably hear me call them, by 12,700 workers, kicking off the most ambitious U.S. industrial labor action in decades, are halting production of the Ford Bronco, which I'm surprised they still make those, but they do, the Jeep Wrangler, and Chevrolet Colorado. I just wanted to call it Chevy Colorado, along with other popular models, though the action was smaller than some expected. Also, fun fact, apparently maybe most people just already know this, but I at least think it might be 80% of all cars, but it's at least out of these three car providers. Most of the things that vehicles they make are like SUVs and trucks, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of surprising. Just because my whole life I've only driven like four-door little compact cars. Like that's all I've driven, and I've always been surrounded by these big cars, and some of my friends like driving big cars and things of that nature. But yeah, apparently, there's a thing called car bloat, car inflation. I don't know, essentially just vehicles getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so now we're just all making these big old SUVs, but we're not making them right now because people are walking out. But this is a very dynamic strike. Essentially, it starts now, with a certain amount of people walking out. But what Sean Fain is calling this, he's calling it a stand-up strike. So essentially, out of these three, organizations, some are going to walk out now and they're going to be on strike, and then others are going to walk out at another different point. You know what I mean? So essentially, it's going to do billions of dollars worth of damage to these companies in terms of just holding out and not coming to the table and negotiating properly. But this is going to be something that's like very dynamic. It almost feels like guerrilla warfare tactics. And I don't know. I think this is something that's going to keep, you know, these CEOs, these motherfucking top motherfuckers on their toes, as they need to be. I mean, they're essentially complaining and belly aching like, oh, well, the demands that they want are just going to make us non-competitive to like companies like Tesla. Like we're just if we give them what we're receiving, because essentially the question that's being asked, and Sean Fain put it to him in one of the demands, was like, hey, we want the same thing that you CEOs are making, which is a 40% raise. Like, you guys got that raise. Meanwhile, we've been chomping at the bit for 15 years because, you know, for so long, you guys have been crying poverty, saying, oh, we're not making money, we're not making money. But the next thing you know, we're looking at these super huge profit margins. Like, you guys are on the rise, making tons of money, but we aren't seeing it. These CEOs are seeing it, these shareholders are seeing it, but not us. What the fuck is up? And I mean, their response is like, oh, well, we'll give you a 20% and we won't meet all the demands that you want. And we're not going to really do anything about this two-tier system or tier system that they have, essentially making it so it's like, look, and it's so fucked up and sick how it's like designed to be like, hey, we're going to reward the long-standing employees, right? We're gonna give you guys like almost like the seniority buff, and like you guys are gonna make sure you always get yours, like you're grandfathered in. But for the new people, they're kind of gonna get less and just have to deal with it. Less benefits, less pay, and they're just gonna have to be okay with that. And you know, but you guys are gonna get taken care of, and that kind of shit makes a division within the factories, and like, you know, that's not right. Like at the end of the day, it's good to see people seeing through that kind of fucking shit and saying, no, these kids, these young people, they shouldn't have it harder than we had it. They should be making more money. It's even harder to live right now. Like they talk and interview people and they're like, look, I don't have enough like to make ends meet right now. And it's already going to be hard for me to go on strike. Sure, I'm going to be making like half of a paycheck, but essentially I got to do this so that like I can make money for my family in the future. So yeah, I mean, I just like how this is designed. There's a lot of demands. They are really shooting for the ceiling here, and I respect that because that is the spirit of this. Like, you have to know that you have to shoot for what you guys are worth, and know that you're gonna have to sadly compromise from there. And I think it's ridiculous that these you know, shareholders, or not shareholders, the CEOs, you know, the people at the negotiating table are like, oh, well, we're doing the best we can. It's the same thing. Just, you know, once again, talking about SAG-AFTRA, it's the same thing of like, they sat on their hands, they ignored the fucking proposals. And that's why I like, once again, referencing Sean Fain, he's been really upfront, really social about this shit, saying what's happening behind closed doors, which most like presidents, leaders, and unions and stuff don't do. It's typically a faux pas. I listened to a thing on the Journal, and essentially like his almost like introduction, he's like, look, normally the president comes on these negotiations and shakes these three people's hands. I'm not going to start this off that way because they haven't done anything for us or by us. So I'll shake their hand when we have an agreement. How about that? And he's just kept that energy throughout. He's like literally like gone on social media and say, hey, look, this is this is what their counter proposal is. This is what I think about it. This is where I'm going to file it. And he just throws it in the trash, rips it up, whatever. And it's like, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck these motherfuckers. He's invited to the cookout because he listens to Public Enemy, and I like fucking love that. You know, he's got Fight the Power as like one of his like, you know, what is it? Strike playlist songs. I'm like, yeah, we fuck with that. So yeah, he's making good moves. He's making good statements. I fuck with it. I like this setup of the strike. I can't stress that enough. I really hope it goes well, and I really am rooting for these union workers. I cannot stress this enough that this is a very much a union stand podcast. Like, yes, I know unions are not perfect. I know that there are flaws, but at the end of the day, this is something that is the true betterment of all of us. If unions do well, we do well. And it's good to see these unions off their ass and actually fighting for people. That's what I fucking care about. That's why I want to fucking talk about it. That's why it's frontline and sinker. And I'm talking about it maybe a little too much. Sorry. But once again, SAG-AFTRA. Recently, the Drew Barrymore show has been catching some heat. They threw out some people protesting with SAG after shirts, like protesting or whatever, like writer stuff or whatever. And I think it's because they are like doing something that's low-key like scabby, essentially like, oh, we're gonna actually make content without the writers. Like we're at a point now where we just need to do that. If we don't, their excuse for Drew Barrymore's show and then also Bill Maher's shitty fucking show. I don't know what the fuck he's doing on HBO, but it's a thing. Essentially, he's like, yeah, for the sake and the for our people, our staff, we have to like keep making work and making content, whatever. And so yeah, they're catching backlash for that a little bit. People are like, you're fucking scum. And hey, it's a bummer that Drew Barrymore had to catch a hot one, but hey, you do what you do. I mean, whether or not you're okaying it or just like a willing participant or silent participant. And fuck Bill Maher. That motherfucker knows what he's doing. So yeah, fuck it. Sorry about it. People are gonna boo you if you do that shit. Let's move along though. I know I'm getting clogged. I'm getting gummed up. From the Associated Press. Explosion at world's largest rail yard in Nebraska prompts evacuations because of heavy toxic smoke. An explosion inside a shipping container at the world's largest rail yard prompted evacuations in western Nebraska Thursday because of the toxic smoke generated when one of the chemicals on board caught fire. Around noon, an explosion occurred inside an intermodal container on a rail car at Union Pacific Bailey Yard in North Platte. Though it wasn't clear what caused the explosion, let's see, no one was injured and no cars derailed. So, this is some good news. Though, I'm concerned, potentially just when you're talking about the chemicals. That's always concerning. That's scary. I do like, yet again, in this article, they see trains, they see explosions, rural-ish area. Of course, Ohio gets mentioned. Of course, they're going to reference us. So, yeah, it gets mentioned at the end of this article. So, of course, I had to talk about it, too. But one of the containers involved was carrying perchloric acid, which is used in explosives as well as a variety of food and drug products. Love that sentence. I feel like I want a whole article about that part. Like, how do we make that happen? Because that's pretty interesting, fascinating, kind of scary. But that being said, that was involved in an explosion, and that doesn't seem good to maybe have in the air and stuff. But I mean, no one's saying that there's anything like to worry about, but they did clear out the area in terms of like, evacuating, the near area, stuff like that. Let's see. One of the volunteers who was working inside the Golden Spike Tower Thursday said the North Platte Telegraph newspaper, or told the North Platte Telegraph newspaper that he saw a big ball of flame billow up while he was talking to someone. So yeah, that would be friggin' scary. But yeah, that's all we really have there. Like I said, it's good that no one was hurt. It doesn't seem like there was any like, crazy collateral damage or anything like that. It does seem like it's contained, but yeah. Let's move on to another explosion, another aftermath fallout. From the Bro Bible. Excuse me. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis fined $1 million by SEC by ripping people off with an NFT cartoon. Okay, so let's get in, because this is technically a little bit of a double Whopper special. The public image of Hollywood power couple Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis has continued to take a beating this week, as the pair have now been fined $1 million by the SEC. According to an official press release from the Securities and Exchange Commission, Kutcher and Kunis owe $1 million in fines after they were found to have been making unregistered offers to crypto asset securities and misleading investors for their new series Stoner Cats, which I'm not quite sure what the fuck it is. Like, it seemed like it was almost like a show, like an animated show with like cats, like, I don't know if this is like a regular show meets Aristocats situation or what have you. It seemed like one of those flash in the pans ideas. I don't know how the NFT factors in here, but essentially they're saying, hey, you get in here, you're going to make money. And, there's a slew of celebrities that have gotten dinged for this fucking kind of shit. But it's crazy that in this week, they they got dinged for this, and I this is what I wound up covering them for. But essentially, they were in for what I think the public opinion would deem much harder shit that I was just gonna let the betters cover. You know what I mean? But now we got to talk about it all. The announcement from the SEC comes after the pair have been dragged through the mud in recent days for their decision to write letters in support of convicted rapist Danny Masterson. So yeah, after Masterson, Simpson came out and everything, it was leaked, revealed, what have you, that Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, they both made these like apology letters or whatever for Danny Masterson. And it's just very weird. Like we talked about this a little bit with Iggy Azalea and what is it, Tory Lanez, how she did this. And it's so crazy because they came out with like a Colleen Ballinger kind of response, oh, we're sorry video, we didn't mean to hurt anybody video, because they just got massive backlash. Like literally victims came out and said, oh, this is so fucked up, I can't believe like someone like Ashton Kutcher who says and does all this human rights, human trafficking, like activism and all this kind of shit. Here he is defending Danny Masterson. It was just so terrible. This like just is so fucking foobar for them. Let's see. I do not believe he is an ongoing harm to society, and having his daughter raised without a parent or without a present father would a territory injustice in and of itself. This is just parts of the letter that he said in defense of Masterson. There's like another thing where he's like, oh yeah, Danny Masterson like would keep me away from weed, which is like fucking crazy. Like, because essentially like Hyde, the Danny Masterson's character, was a pot smoking, like that was a guy who got him weed all the time. Even though you never see them smoke, they're in a circle with smoke, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's trying to say like, oh man, no, Danny was like keeping me away from that kind of stuff. In fact, if there was like a guy who like said, oh yeah, I deal this or that, like he would tell me not to talk to him at all. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, it's a very much like a Dare style thing. And it's like, they are ignoring the charges at hand here. Like what he is being sentenced for. And it's like, but he's such a cool guy. Like he's like a big brother to us. So it's crazy. It's crazy that in this week, all of this has happened here. And it's just like, bleh. So yeah, the news really provided. Let's see, the project, back to the NFT, the Stoner Cats, whatever the fuck that is. The product sold more than 10,000 NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens, if you've forgotten. I know it's been a long crypto winter. For a profit of $8 million in order to finance the animated series. Okay. But in doing so, the SEC claimed they violated the Securities Act of 1933 by offering and selling these crypto assets securities to the public in an unregistered offering that was not exempt from registration. Let's see here. The series creative team allegedly claimed that the advantage of purchasing one of their NFTs was that the buyer could resell it at a much higher value in the future, which is apparently a complete lie because they're like worth $0 right now. Man, I still remember, I think it was like Seth Green got his like shit stolen and he like went out of his way and like paid so much money just to get it back, and now it's worth even less. Yikes, dude. So many fucking shitty stories, man. These celebrities just getting burnt or just like burning other people. Like, it just feels bad, man. But then you're also like, it's celebrities, fuck them. But it's just like, people also bought into this that were just normie people, and they like put their investments into that, and it's like, yikes, dude. Fucking, I hate to say it, but it's cringe, dude. Like I can't imagine. Look, I bought a Dogecoin. I'll confess, I bought parts of Doge, but look, I got out, and I didn't look back. I wasn't gonna do that diamond hand shit. That's for fucking basement redditors. I don't know, man. Anyway, we got other shit to cover. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the fryer, and then we're gonna go ahead and do this last story from the Insider. Okay. Whew. McDonald's fans are mourning the loss of self-serve soft drinks, saying it's the end of an era and a tremendous loss. Yo, this is fucked up if you ask me. I think this is ridiculous. This is, I don't know. It's making me mad, but it is what it is. McDonald's is nixing its self-serve soft drinks, and customers are expressing their dismay. How am I supposed to mix, or how am I going to mix 60 milliliters of every single soda in one cup to create one super drink? Hallie Palamo wrote in a Facebook comment. This is a tremendous loss. Crazy that they're using a Facebook for reference. Usually it's almost always from X. But hey, they said, hey, let's go ahead and use the old FB. The fast food chain told franchises it would retire self-serve drink stations by 2032. Now, they say 2032, but there are already McDonald's that are saying, hey, like this is broken or it's down. We're only going to be doing, I don't know, what is it? Server refills. And essentially, they're saying, hey, it's for sanitary reasons. It's definitely for the best. There's some customers that are like, yeah, I've seen them and they have mold and all that kind of stuff. And like, you know what? You're totally right. Because I've actually talked, some of my friends have been in the industry, and they're like, yeah, don't get the sweet tea, at least from this place. And it's like, oh, okay, why? And they're like, because it was filled with mold more times than not, and we rarely cleaned it. And it's like, oh, good to know. And that definitely was made me back to a Coke stand, because I'm like, hey, that shit is made in a lab cold. It's super great, and hopefully they're cleaning it, because it's that's their flagship drink, right? But anyway, essentially now, instead of the self-serve, you got to go up to the register, give them your drink, and they're gonna run it, and they're gonna do that. Or maybe if it's sanitary, then they would definitely just give you a new one, by the way. So it's definitely not for sanitary, if that's exactly how it goes down. But I don't like this, because you're either gonna have to hop in the line to get it, or you're gonna have to be that guy who's sitting on the side like, oh, excuse me, can I get I need a little refill, please, I have a Coke. And you can't get your mixed drink anymore. You can't spice it up. So that's fucking an L. So yeah, I definitely hate this. This is a Tomato Town situation. Boo, this sucks. There's some people like, oh, it'll stop theft. I'm like, fuck you, Mick, fuck you, dude. It's a drink. I don't care if someone gets a water cup and they walk over and get a Coke. You know what I mean? Good for you. I'm gonna miss it at the end of the day. It's a minor loss, sure, and honestly, I haven't been going to too much fast food, which is they're teasing me. I think they're doing it's National Cheeseburger Day, and I think they're like 50-cent cheeseburgers, which is crazy. That's a crazy value, and I love cheeseburgers. I love a cheeseburger. But no, that's it. That's really all I have for this Friday. Let's see, I got to shill for a little bit. Patreon.com/Isaiah News if you'd like to support and become a newsie. I shout you out on the top of the month. I say your name, and I shout out a project you're on, if that's what you like. And then also, I have a Google Mail. That's right, a Gmail. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Send me some feedback. Chit-chat with me. That's a way to do that for free. Also, you can follow, interact with me or the podcast on the socials. Feel free to find me out there, surf the web. While you're surfing, please subscribe to the YouTube. It means a lot to me, does a lot for the effort. Thumbs up, all the stars, comments are great. We'd love to see it. So yeah, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.